Let's go. With Stan and Neil Show. The Stan and Neil Show. The Stan and Neil Show. The Stan and Neil Show.
Hey, welcome back. It's another edition of the Stan and Neil Show. Glad you are with us.
Stanley, he's Stan, I'm Neil. Stan, how we doing? How we feeling?
Doing great. Ready for the weekend. Ready for the Saints to go to Buffalo, shock the world.
There you go. Now, are you doing the Saints game out of your crib there, or are you traveling?
No. We do the show virtually. At least I do. My partners, Aaron Summers and Scott Shanley, they're in the studio in New Orleans. And
Okay.
I contribute from here. Chris Berman's on the show talking about the Bills. And also I do the recipe for success for the Saints to finally get their first win of the season. But we are here to talk about the Stan and Neil Show. Boy, we got a great show coming up. We're going to talk NFL Week 4. We're also going to recap last night's game, the Thursday night game. We're going to hear from key players, Micah Parsons on playing back in Dallas after he was traded. We got Doug Kezirian back with us again to make his NFL picks. Lakers Media Day happens. What's the outlook for the Lakers as they prepare for the upcoming NBA season? And Cedric Ceballos is going to join us to talk about that and other NBA topics. So we got a full show. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk Ryder Cup and college football a little bit later in the show as well.
I'm going to remind you to become a subscriber to our Twitch channel. Ced Ceballos, by the way, has got his own Twitch channel. There are three different levels: rookie, all-pro, and Hall of Famer. And there's no hazing if you're a rookie. In fact, you're congratulated for being a rookie. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on Instagram and TikTok as well.
And you can follow along with us. You can comment. You can ask questions in the chat. One of the great things about our show here on Twitch. EAZ6NEJ says, my ESPN GOATs. We appreciate that. Tick Double X, thank you for joining us in the chat. Anders J, 188 in the chat. What's up? Jello C in the chat. North Steel in the chat. James McMilner. Everybody in the chat. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you with us for the Stan and Neil Show. All right, Neil, how about that Thursday night game last night?
Yeah, let's chat a little bit about it. The Seahawks at the Cardinals, and what stood out to me, Stan, was the start of Week 4 mirrored a lot of what we saw in Week 3, and by that I mean the impact of special teams. We had the walk-off field goal, Seattle over the Cardinals last night. Yep. Well, bartender, give me a Myers, by the way, because that was Justin Myers who kicked that ball right there. God, I missed that. That was a 49ers beat the Cardinals on a walk-off in Week 3. The Browns over the Packers on a walk-off in Week 3. A walk-off field goal win by the Buccaneers over the Jets in Week 3. Walk-off field goal win by the Chargers over the Broncos in Week 3. And then you had the blocked field goal was the game winner, I believe, in the Rams-Eagles. So a lot of kickers are kickers used to be kind of like referees, just do your job, but don't get in the way.
Right.
And now they're the heroes are the GOATs for a lot of these games.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that because first of all, like there's a couple of things that are part of that trend. First of all, these kickers are making 60-yarders like nothing now. I mean, it used to be it was a risk to try a 60-yard kick because of the field position involved and because of the likelihood that the kicker's going to miss. Now, 60-yarder, it's almost expected. And so, with that in mind, I don't know about this new kickoff rule. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because last night that ball was almost in the landing zone, but just short. And as a result of that, Seattle got the ball on the 40-yard line. Okay, and you combine that with the proficiency of these kickers from long distances, and it's almost like the game was over. I mean, they needed like 15 or 20 yards, to have a potential game time field goal. So, what do you think they should do in kickoffs? I know player safety, yada yada yada. They don't want the big time collisions of regular kickoffs, but I don't know if you can. I don't know if there's rules that can make the players safe on kickoffs.
Yeah, it kind of feels like either go all out or just eliminate it. Bring it back to what it used to be. Let them run it out if they want to run it out. Quit playing, flag football rules with it, or just boom, the ball. You get the ball on the 20-yard line after a touchdown or field goal.
Yeah,
and you just eliminate it.
Yeah, 40-yard line. 40-yard line is too much, no matter what happens.
Too much. Yeah.
I mean, 30. Okay, I like 20-yard, 25 at the most. I mean, make a team have to drive.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. We could also have the kickers have to kick with their off foot too, just to,
Let's just get weird. Let's get weird. You gotta kick it with the other foot and kick it backwards. You got to come up like Mr. Ed.
Yeah, I mean, there was only 28 seconds left, but to your point, Seattle needed a couple plays, and they got Smith-Njigba to set them up for the Myers winner. One thing, so Zach Charbonnet or Charbonneau, I'm not sure how he pronounces it.
Charbonnet, yep.
Charbonnet. So I'm in a bar because I was asking directions to the library, and I dropped into a bar and this was a few years ago, and my brother was there, my little brother Brian, and he introduced me to this guy Ben, and we had a great night talking about the favorite books we'd read, and Ben says my son is going to Michigan, and his son is Zach.
Right. Yep.
And so I followed his career at Michigan, and then he went UCLA, and now he's with the Seahawks. So he's a guy that I root for just because I met his dad one night at the library.
Which brings me to the next thing. Charbonnet and Walker and Kenneth Walker. That's a nice little 1-2 punch that the Seahawks got going. It almost not quite the same effectiveness as the Lions, but they do a lot of similar things, a lot of 2 tight end sets where they want to get the running game going. I mean, Clint Kubiak, if you remember the first couple of weeks last season when he was with the Saints, they looked really, really good. I mean, he can dial it up, coming from that Shanahan school of offense. And with those 2 backs, and like Sam Darnold's reclaimed his career now. I mean, he looks like a top 5 draft pick now. And I mean, look, I think Seattle and their defense is really, really good. I think Seattle is better than people realize. I think they need to be in that conversation in the NFC. Not quite Eagles, maybe not quite the pick to win it, but if you have to play them in Seattle in the playoffs,
12th man,
that's a tough go. And Smith-Njigba, I mean, he's really developing into a top tier receiver in the league. So I'm really bullish on the Seahawks. I've seen them in consecutive weeks against Saints last week, and then on the Thursday night game last week. I'm bullish on them to get the job done. Like outside of Reek Woolen had some pass interference penalties last night, but outside of that, they really don't beat themselves. They don't make a lot of errors.
The best catch of the night last night was that Mike catching Smith-Njigba walking by, going, "Man, that's some bullshit."
That was the real NFL right there.
Everybody heard that. Speaking of that, that's what Cowboy fans are thinking about Micah Parsons no longer suiting up for them as Green Bay comes to town with Micah Parsons now wearing number 1 for the Cheeseheads. And I'm sure if they put Micah Parsons on the screen, I think he's going to get applauded. And I think if they show Jerry Jones, I think he's going to get the opposite. What kind of reception do you think Micah will get?
I think he'll get some applause. I mean, boy, Dallas is struggling. I mean, they need this game badly now. But so does Green Bay. I mean, they got off to the great start. Everybody crowned them as one of the top teams in NFC, and then they go to Cleveland. Dealing with that Cleveland defense is no picnic, but their offense really needs to get on track because they underperformed last week. So I think the fans in Dallas will be happy to see Michael Parsons in the beginning. And then it's like, okay, forget you. The Cowboys need to get this win to stay in any kind of conversation in the NFC. And, I think it'll refresh the memories for the Cowboys that when Jerry Jones pops on the screen, he's the guy who did it. He's the reason why we don't have him anymore. And yeah, he'll hear from the crowd. I think so.
Yeah. Let's hear from Parsons right now.
Once the game starts, who's going to be worried about any trade? Like, it's just me against them 5 men in front of me, you know what I mean? And then we got one common goal, and that's to win the football game. And how we win the football game is winning the line of scrimmage and affecting Dak and how good he's been playing this year. So I think, the fans, the media is going to get off on the pre-draft, the hype and all that, but once the games, ain't no one talking about the trade. We talking about winning a football game.
Michael, what do you think?
Yeah. What kind of reception do you expect to get from the fan base?
I think Dallas loves me. I think they're going to give me a good round of applause. And, there's no hard feelings there, at least for me. And I think it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a great atmosphere. I think, this is some of the best football you're going to get in Dallas when it's Sunday night against, a rivalry opponent.
Have you talked to any of the guys from Dallas at all since you've been gone? Or maybe
Yeah. I still talk to Trey. Me and Trey tap in at least once a week. I talked to CD recently just on his injury and, keeping his spirit. So I told him it's like a freaky way because I got hurt week 3 last year on a high ankle sprain too. So, I'm just praying for him and, hoping he comes back soon because I told him, I said, the standard. At least need 1,000 yards regardless of how many weeks you are, the standard's the standard. So we both, talk about that. That's my brother. And, obviously the D linemen, I talk to them quite a bit. Those just being my guys. And, so I still have my relationship ties there.
How many tickets did you get for this game?
I still got my suite. There. So I was good on tickets.
Have you and Jerry Jones communicated at all since he got here?
Nah. I never even heard from Jerry Jones himself when I even got traded. I found out through my agent. I haven't talked to Jerry Jones since OTAs. So it's just like one of those things.
So Micah Parsons, Neil, said that those suites in Dallas are non-refundable. So
Yeah, I read that. Yeah.
So he had to keep it. So he said he's good on tickets, as you heard there. Did you hear what Jerry Jones said?
Oh, what Jerry say?
So he was on 105.3 in Dallas. I got to give him a shout out. He said that, look, Michael Parsons is a good player, but there's ways to play against him, as evidenced by the fact that we haven't come close to winning the Super Bowl in the years that he was here. So obviously, there's ways to deal with him that other teams have done, and so they just got to deal with him. But the problem for Dallas is that Green Bay has come in there and won the last 5 times. As a matter of fact, they have never lost at Jerry World. They won all 5 games. They scored at least 34 points in each one of those games. And the Cowboys, without CeeDee Lamb, they got to hope that Packers offense doesn't straighten things out, because Packers last week against Cleveland, and again, it's the Cleveland defense, not the Cowboys defense. They allowed 5 sacks. Cleveland had 6 tackles for losses. Their offensive line just got beat last week, and so the Dallas defensive line is gonna have to step up. Again, no CeeDee Lamb for Dak Prescott, who's been throwing the ball really well so far, but having CeeDee Lamb is a part of it.
Yeah, the Packers defense allows 3.7 yards per play. That's number 1 in the NFL. The Cowboys defense allows 6.5 yards per play. That's number 31, and there's only 32 teams. So the Cowboys defense is can't hold a candle to the Packers defense. And I read this interesting article in The Athletic. And by the way, The Athletic is so good. It's like the best $2 a month I spend. Yep. So I can't remember the writer's name. I apologize for that. But he asked 12 GMs, team execs, or coaches, 12 of them across the league. Would you rather have Micah Parsons at $47 million annually or an extra pair of first-round picks? Because Micah Parsons was traded for 2 picks and a defensive lineman.
Yep.
10 of them said, I'd rather have Micah Parsons flat out, and 2 of them said it depended. So nobody took the draft picks straight out. And basically, if you're in a win now mode, which the Packers feel like they're in, then you got to take Micah Parsons. If you're in a we ain't winning the Super Bowl now mode, which the Cowboys are in, then you probably go with the draft picks.
Yeah, but you listen to Cowboy fans, every year's their year. This was supposed to be their year again, as it's been every year since the last time they won it. But, so maybe it was Jerry throwing up the white flag and saying, hey, look, we gotta rebuild this thing, and we got to start now while we have a player with this kind of value. All right, only matchup of unbeatens this weekend, Eagles and Bucks. The Cardiac Bucks, they've won every game on their last drive, and so now they host Philly in that heat and humidity still in Tampa. I think that's going to be a factor in this game. But you can't say enough about the job Baker Mayfield's done so far for Tampa Bay. We talked about it on Tuesday.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts owns a Super Bowl ring, but Tampa Bay owns him. He's 1-4 since becoming a full-time starter in 2021 against the Bucs. Let's hear from the two quarterbacks.
Over time, from an authoritative stance and a tool stance as well. And so, you want to make sure that you have everything available to you to go out there and make a play. I think also that, and not make a play, but, drive the offense, but also knowing that everyone needs to be on the same page to bring that play to life. And so all of those things are important. And I know it starts and ends, with what I do. And so you embrace that. I embrace the ownership that comes with it, the responsibility that comes with what we do. At the same time, it takes all 11 on the field, nothing more than that. And so if we can all 11 be on the same page, if we are taking in and soaking in, what we're being taught and instructing it in a way where it's received, that's true alignment.
I mean, every single week in this league is competitive. Don't get me wrong on that. But when you're playing the Super Bowl champs from last year, a team that's really, really good, you always try and elevate your game a little bit. But yeah, we're trying to set the tone on our own end. It's like I said, this year is about not just winning the division, but the goals after that. We got to take it one game at a time. And this week we have a great opponent in the Eagles.
All right, so the Eagles offense this week, you heard Jalen Hurts talking about everybody needs to be on the same page for it to work. Eagles offense got started in that second half, last week's game against the Rams and helped them come back and win that game with some help from Jordan Davis with that blocked field goal for a touchdown. But Philly fans just still really unhappy with the offense. I mean, I've been kind of monitoring the coverage of the Eagles. I mean, Drew Brees, he got his shots in earlier this week saying that the offense is boring and that, it's no fun to watch, but they keep winning. They won 19 out of 20 games, including last year's Super Bowl. So, I mean, they're doing enough to win the game. And so it's kind of like, do wins only count when they're artistic or do you just take the win however you can get it?
Well, ask Herm Edwards. He summed that up perfectly. You play to win the game, period.
Yeah.
And the Eagles, their worst loss last season came at the hands of the Buccaneers, I believe.
Yep.
I think they got beat 33-16 last season. So they got that motivation as well. And Saquon Barkley, the Eagles are winning, and he's not blowing up to Hurts's point, he's not blowing up the stat sheet the way he did last year. And Tampa Bay's defense, I think, is top 6 in stopping in rushing yards per game, allowing the fewest rushing yards per game. So this is a great little matchup. The thing that stands out to me on this, Stan, is the Eagles are favored by, I think, 3.5. So the Eagles are giving points going to Tampa Bay, and Doug Kezirian can talk intelligently about this. I can just talk about it. They're begging you to take Tampa Bay. I get Tampa Bay at home plus 3.5.
And so that means, according to your formula, I know when they're begging you to take one team, you always take the other team.
That's the way it works.
That's what you do. Okay. All right.
You got to hold your nose and take the medicine.
We'll see how that goes. Both going in undefeated. Only one's going to leave undefeated. So that'll be fun to watch in Tampa Bay. And now this totally unexpected. Nobody thought the Ravens and Chiefs would meet in this game, and both come in at 1-2. So either the Ravens or the Chiefs, two of the top contenders in the AFC, is going to leave this game 1-3. And because of the go ahead. Because of the desperation factor, I think this is going to be a fantastic game. But I wonder if the Chiefs have what it takes to try to score with the Ravens, because the Ravens have been scoring points.
And sorry to interrupt. If I had told you at the beginning of the season that the loser of the Ravens-Chiefs game in Week 4 is going to be 1-3, you would have told me, "Hey, man, you should be doing that Up and Smoke podcast with those two dudes, okay?" Because
all the smoke, right?
There's, there's no way that's happening.
Up and Smoke. I believe that was Cheech and Chong. All the smoke is Matt Barnes and Captain Jack Stack.
You know that's funny. You mentioned Cheech and Chong. So this was a few years ago. So it was before the COVID. I was working out at this like gym turned into a weight place up in on the west side of LA.
Yeah.
And it was me and the guy who was training me, and then it was the owner of the spot and this older guy. And I'm pushing a sled, and I can hear this other guy, the older guy, older than me guy, he's talking about weed. Like, I knew enough, I'd read about
on your way to the library, or when you were at the library, right?
Yeah, and I was reading about, and so I'm listening to this guy, and I go back and I tell the guy, I go, that guy's talking about weed, and I think it's Tommy Chong,
right?
And it was,
hey,
and Tommy Chong was working out as the same guy. And so we kind of became not friends, but acquaintances, because we'd see each other all there. And he'd always refer to me as, "Hey, sports guy." And I had him come down. We had him come down to the studio in LA and tape a bunch of intros and outros and all that. But I don't know if they were ever used, but I thought
get him on the show.
That was pretty cool to meet Tommy Chong in person like that.
All right, we're going to bring in our buddy Doug Kezirian here in just a minute. Let's hear from the Ravens and Chiefs though before we bring Doug in. Okay, all right. We don't have Ravens and Chiefs. Let's bring in Doug Kezirian right now, and let's talk about these games that we've been talking about. Doug, good to see you again.
We'll be with you guys. Glad I passed the first test with some of the plays we got there. I know Neil was sweating out Oregon, but we got there with the Beavers and the extra hook or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was 30. Yeah. It was 34.5, and they won by 34, right?
I told you guys it'd be right around 35. Be careful, but I thought the dog would bark, and it was 7-7 early on, and that's all we needed, I guess.
All right, so Doug, go ahead, Neil.
Let's check out some of the games we talked about.
Yeah, you guys were just mentioning the Chiefs, Ravens. I mean, it's crazy, right? One of these teams is going to be 1-3 afterwards, and Baltimore coming off a disappointing performance at home on Monday night where they were gashed. And that was the thing that stood out to me. Like, Detroit was committed to the run game and just relentless. And in the second half, it really showed just the wear and tear of that Baltimore front line and a lot of injuries piling up. So this Ravens team always finds itself in a lot of overs because obviously they're so explosive with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, but they're going to give up points and yards. I just think Kansas City figured some stuff out offensively, whether it's the second half sort of shedding that Super Bowl hangover, if you will, and pushing through. I think Mahomes is starting to get the bounce and the step. So I'm actually eyeing a prop, and I don't bet a lot of props, but I do like this one, and it's Isaiah Pacheco rushing yards. He's kind of like, I don't want to say done, but he only had 10 carries last game. So he split them with Kareem Hunt. And that was, they're not going to run the ball. They put the ball in Mahomes' hands against this Ravens defense. You can throw. He did have 45 yards, but that's against the Giants. Much different situation here against the Ravens. I don't think Pacheco's going to get going here. So I like under his prop for rushing yards, which is 34.5. It keeps getting bet under, but I'll take it. I don't think he's going to do much offensively with the rushing.
All right, what about the Vikings and Steelers in Dublin?
Yeah, really strange game because the Steelers, it's in Dublin. Of course, Aaron Rodgers is complaining about having to go there and things like that. But this Steelers team is 2-1, even though they've been outgained by over 100 yards in every game and yards per play. So the opposing team against this once vaunted Steelers defense is not as formidable as we think. And here's the Vikings looked all world last week. I like the Vikings minus the 2.5 points. The Steelers team, like the real Steelers team, is going to show itself. We're going to have regression here. The Vikings are not going to cruise like they did last week, but I do think they are more well-rounded. They're starting to get healthier on defense. Even with Carson Wentz, I think they're going to be fine. And I've been saying this all along. We see these veterans like Sam Darnold last night Baker Mayfield, get a sort of a second chance in a career. So much of the QB position is mental and intelligence and understanding these complex defenses. So a guy like Carson Wentz is much more valuable than he was earlier in his career, per se. And Kevin O'Connell did wonders last year with Darnold. I think he's going to do the same with Wentz. And I think we're fine laying the 2.5 with the Vikings against a Steelers team that is just ripe to get to finally lose the right way here after getting outgained all these games.
Doug, what about the Rams hosting the Colts? It's a 3.5-point spread. The Rams favored. The Colts have been playing fantastic, though. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's been great. Daniel Jones resurrected his career in Indy. How do you see that one? I'm really interested in that game, too. Not from a gambling perspective, just from a football perspective.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think two things can be true, right? The Colts can finally lose, but they can also be good, right? Like, they're better than we thought coming into the season. I think that's inarguable, and Daniel Jones is playing well. But look who they've played, right? They caught the Dolphins at home. And I know sharp money was on the Dolphins and everything, but we've kind of learned what the Dolphins were. That was a miracle win against the Broncos, but it was a solid win, all things considered. It was at home, took care of business. And then the Titans are the Titans and really poorly coached. They're changing play callers and everything. So I think the Rams get right here. Neil was just talking about when it's a 3.5-point spread, they're trying to get you to take the underdog. He's right. What 3.5 means is it's a weak underdog, because normally it should be 3, but it's a weak underdog, so it's 3.5. Kind of like when it's 2.5, it's a weak favorite. So in this case, I think the Rams get right. And I did a 20-minute YouTube episode on the Rams plus 3.5 last week. This block field goal, scoop and score, arguably the worst beat ever in the history of NFL beating was the Rams plus 3.5, winning it comfortably the entire game. It rivals the Falcons plus 4.5 in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. But
that one was more fun for us Saints fans.
Yes, and also just watching the Patriots lose, right? But in this case, I do think the Rams get right. Back-to-back road games, they're loaded. They really are. Stafford's great, tons of weapons. The defense is good. I think the Colts come back to earth a little bit. Doesn't mean they're bad, but I think the Rams do cover the 3.5 here.
Eagles are at Tampa Bay. By the way, best nickname out there has got to be Indiana Jones for Daniel Jones.
That's fantastic.
Right?
Not to be confused with the garbage man, Cedric Ceballos, you guys have coming from my younger years. That was always a great nickname as well.
What do you think about the Eagles and the Buccaneers? Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, and all that.
So you guys nailed it in the previous conversation. Like the Bucs do have their number, but they're just so ravaged with injuries, and it's a really tough ask. Think about the emotional drain that the last few weeks have had on the Bucs, right? They had that thriller Monday night against the Texans and had to drive the field. Baker Mayfield on 4th and 10 or 12, scrambling in the first down. Short week. The Jets come in, almost win with their blocked field goal and touchdown, and then Baker Mayfield has the game-winning drive. I just wonder what's left in the tank right now, even at home, and the injuries that are piling up offensively and with Mike Evans. So I'm not going to touch this line. If I had to, like in a pick'em game, I'd lay it with Philly. I think they're fresher given what happened last week. But I like Baker Mayfield over rushing yards, excuse me. Like I said, I don't play a ton of props, but sometimes the market just doesn't catch up. And I think the game script, right? We talk about it in the fight game, the path to victory. So if you look at what Baker Mayfield has done, and just want to remind everyone, in college, sack yards count towards your rushing stats, but not in the NFL. So it's just rushes. So it's when the pocket collapses and he scrambles. And he's been ridiculous. He had 44 yards last week, 33 the week before, 39 in the opener. He'll tuck it and run because this O-line is so banged up and depleted. It has holes. He's going to have to run for his life. So over 17.5 rush yards, I think is a great play for this game.
What about Jordan Love heading to Arlington to take on the Cowboys? Green Bay, as we mentioned earlier, they've won all 5 trips to Jerry World, scored at least 34 points. So there's a prop bet that I know you wanted to talk about involving Jordan Love. What's that one?
Yeah, I mean, this game should be a blowout, right? Look, you're catching the Packers at the wrong spot if you're Dallas. You want to catch them fat and happy like last week, coming in off big wins, all undefeated. But now they got a wake-up call. And so now they're off a loss, and they're coming to face your defense, which is terrible, and you don't even have CeeDee Lamb on the offensive side of the ball. So unless this is an absolute beatdown like 30-10 and the Packers just bring in the oars second half and get in and get out, this should be just a butt kicking for the offense for the Packers, and Jordan Love should be able to sling it around. Mina Kimes at ESPN had a great stat, basically saying, I forget what the stat was. I think it was EPA or something like that. But Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are the top of the league with whatever rating it was. But opposing quarterbacks for the Cowboys defense have actually been rated higher. So whoever the Cowboys are facing on defense, that quarterback is performing well and better than Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. That's how bad this Cowboys defense is. And so Jordan Love over 1.5 passing touchdowns. The juice isn't bad. It's like minus 130. I just think he's going to be able to sling it around in the fast turf of Jerry World. And again, Packers off a loss. Now they can run it down their throat, but I think the pass defense is really what's the worst part about this Cowboys defense. And we saw what Caleb Williams did to them. I think Jordan Love, they're going to want to get back on track. And the best recipe and remedy for that is this Dallas defense.
Yeah, 1.5 touchdown passes. Now, I have a saying, I don't bet, but if I did, and if I did, I'd be inclined to take that one. I mean, that seems like an easy one.
Yeah, I get the only way it kind of loses if they just kind of blow them out from the start and maybe Love sits the fourth or something like that, or it's just busted runs and they sort of protect, they just kind of protect the pass. But I think Love's going to want to I think LaFleur's going to want Love to get back on track.
All right. Hey, Doug, always great having you, man. Thanks for joining us again.
You too. Thanks for having me, guys. Always good to be with you. We will.
All right, Neil. I got a question in the chat here. Mongoggle says, I'm a Ravens fan. Is Harbaugh on the hot seat if they lose at Kansas City this weekend? What do you think? John Harbaugh. Now he's got a Super Bowl. And the Ravens are a popular pick to win it again this year. If they fall to 1-3, is there any pressure on him?
I don't think so, Stan, because one, his what's on his resume already. I mean, you could make the argument that the Ravens are 2 Derrick Henry fumbles away from being undefeated right now. Those turn the game at Buffalo and the game against the Lions. Those turn both games. So I think again, we talked about this before. Who are you going to get who's better than Harbaugh?
Right.
It's it's not like college where guys aren't listening to the coach anymore. This is a business. This is an organizational chart. And no, to answer the question, no.
Okay. Neil's the deal in the chat says, still can't believe Stan and Neil are back at it. Yes, we are. We appreciate you joining us. So what about the Chiefs? Well, actually, I want to go back to the Ravens because if you look at they played the Bills already. And even if they lose to Kansas City, okay, that's 3 losses, but you got 17 games, okay? And you look at what they're going to face Cincinnati twice, and they don't have Joe Burrow, okay? And, they're going to have to deal with Cleveland's defense, but I think the Ravens are clearly the best team in that division now, and it's not really a conversation with Burrow out. You know what I mean? So they could still rip off 10, 11 in a row. You know what I mean, with what they have. So I mean, 3 losses. I don't think 3 losses will crush you, but it does leave you a lot of margin for error if you're looking number 1 seed because you got Buffalo still undefeated.
Yeah, I was surprised that Doug went with Kansas City because the Ravens are favored in that game by 2.5, and so that goes to the point that we mentioned earlier. You're sitting there looking at that as a bettor, going, "Wow, I get Kansas City at home." And points. I mean, serve me up. But that's the point. It's they're begging you to take Kansas City.
I got to see their offense look like their offense before I believe that they're totally back. You know what I mean?
Kansas City, you're talking about.
Yeah, as the Chiefs. Yeah, I got to see the offense.
Yeah, they get Worthy back, so that's big for them. And the Ravens have allowed the 30 most rushing yards this season. So that would go against Doug's Pacheco bet on yards, but Pacheco has really struggled with yards.
Yep. So some really interesting games coming up in the NFL in week 4. And they got us off to a good start last night with a good competitive game with the Cardinals and Seahawks last night. So we'll see what happens the rest of the way. Hey, so a couple of big games in college football this weekend for our particular teams.
Yes. We've got Oregon at Penn State, and we've got LSU at Mississippi. Both should be solid games.
Yeah. So how you feeling about? I think they're doing the whiteout at Penn State. Tough place to play.
Yeah. Come to Autzen. Tough place to play.
So you're feeling good about it, is what I'm hearing.
Well, you know what? I just want the Ducks to look. So it's interesting. Somebody brought up to me that last year Oregon. He said, I think the Ducks are going to lose by a touchdown, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Because last year the Ducks beat Ohio State and then met them again. There's a good chance the Ducks could meet Penn State again, and sometimes it's hard to beat a team twice.
Okay, so you're
that saying, mantra.
You're saying you'll take the beating Saturday in order to see them later and get them the second time.
Well, I don't want. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, I'll be on pins and needles watching it, but I'm trying to look at it more in a big picture context as opposed to week 4 of college football. Kind of as you were talking about the Ravens, 3 losses. There's 17 games. 1 loss isn't going to kill Penn State, and it's not going to kill Oregon. Those are 2 of the better Those are 2 of the top 12 programs out there. 1 loss or no losses. And so
you remember, not too long ago in college football, it was a thing where 1 loss could do you. You know what I mean? One loss could mess up everything. And it has changed the way people look at the regular season now, because, like you said, 1 loss, maybe even 2 losses now. You're not in the trouble that you used to be in when it was a 2-team, 2 teams going to play for the championship, and then that's it. I mean, you almost had to go undefeated, maybe 1 loss, but you kind of had to go undefeated. LSU taking on Mississippi. LSU sounded really, really confident about that game. We're going to talk some more college football a little bit later in the show, but right now, let's talk NBA. Neil, Lakers had their media day.
Look at that. We got a guest, man. We got a real live guest. We got a legit guest. We got a former NBA All-Star, former NBA dunk champion. We didn't just go out and get the 12th man. We brought a former Laker All-Star in to talk about the Lakers and all other things NBA. Cedric Ceballos to the show.
What's up, Ced?
Gentlemen, how you doing?
We're doing great, man. We're doing great.
We're new to this Twitch thing, but you've been at Twitch for a while, right?
Yeah. This is my 4th year on Twitch, man. I just love it. It's just like having your own television or radio station, and I love the fans. I love the community, and I seen Big Kyrie Irving has jumped in on this too, so this is going to be fun. I'm glad and happy to join you guys.
All right.
We're happy to have you, Ced. Before we talk about all things NBA, your career and the current NBA as well, you're the commissioner of the Venice Basketball League. Now, I live in Mar Vista, which is Venice's backyard. Okay. So tell us more about the Venice Basketball League, basketball on the beach, if you will.
Yeah, I played on the beach as a kid. I grew up in Los Angeles, West LA to be exact, and used to take that long 2-3 mile hike to Venice Beach to play basketball. And even when I became a professional player, I played in the Venice Beach League, and this has been going on for 20 years. It's the 20th season. Last year was just unbelievable. Great talent out there. It's a little bit difficult if you guys are hoopers out there, knowing playing at the beach is a wind factor that may sway to the left or the right, as you've seen in the movie White Man Can't Jump. So it's a little bit different if you're a jump shooter. Me, a layup guy, so it was no problem for me. But it's exciting. We get 3,000 to 6,000 people every Sunday to come out to watch the women, to come out to watch the men play. We have music, we have performances, we have a lot of things going. So I became commissioner on the fact that you try to pump it up and try to get it to another level. it was a great marriage because it's sponsored by Puma, and I'm a Puma guy. So when they came to me with it, I was all for it. It's an opportunity for me, from what I've learned from the late, great David Stearns, and also being a good friend of Adam Silver, to try to be a commissioner and promote the league.
All right. How do you dribble on the sand?
It's difficult, but you got to do it. You got to do it.
No, I've been down there watching them ball, and you do a big crowd down there, and it's a good atmosphere. So anybody listening who might be visiting West Los Angeles or lives in the LA area, that's worth coming down to see. Now we wanted to talk. You played for a lot of teams, but your greatest fame came with the Lakers. The Lakers are kind of a popular team to talk about. Luka Doncic and LeBron James. What's your? You look at the Lakers starting this coming season. What's your thoughts on this makeup of this team?
Well, first, congratulations to the Buss family on their sale, $10 billion. Wow, who would have known with Dr. Buss when he started over in Inglewood that it would be there. Luka, first things first, let's start with him. I got the opportunity to have him when I worked for Dallas as vice president, his rookie season, and just watching him grow and develop into the player that he is. I'm curious to see this new body that he has, his conditioning being up. That was one of the things that I used to always talk to him about. Like, man, once you get in shape, it's just ridiculous. As you see what my guy, the Joker, did over in Denver. Once he got in shape, look, championship MVPs, he's just excellent. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays. He played a little bit in Eurobasket, but that's not the NBA. And this is going to be a really good test for him. LeBron is LeBron. He's the 40-year-old genius that understands the game and really can play at a high level even at the age of 40. Congratulations to him and his son. But this is going to be a test of whose team is this. I think it's going to be LeBron's team late in the fourth quarter, but throughout the first three, I think Luka's going to really dominate. Now, if he's in shape and how his body is looking, go ahead and crown him MVP because the way he's been playing already, it just seems like he just gets a little fatigued and he can't, finish things off. But even with that little chubby body that he had, he took his team to the finals with the Mavericks. So you never know what he has up his sleeve. But great organization and with those two players playing well together, please, JJ, if you can limit LeBron's minutes just a little bit so he can go deep into the playoffs, that'll be just fine.
We got some sound from the Lakers on LeBron as he continues his NBA career. Let's listen to that, and then we'll come back and talk some more, Seth.
We want to do in terms of LeBron and his future is just give him absolute respect to choose his story with his family in terms of how many years he's going to continue to play. He's earned that right, and he's the best one to talk about that in terms of how many years he'd like to play. But we were very intentional this summer in terms of the pieces we add on once LeBron opted in, making sure that they had the necessary pieces around them to be on a really competitive, strong team. And we built into that and for that. In terms of the future, obviously, again, with what I started your question with, first things first would be for him to be able to make the decisions he wants to in terms of how long he wants to play. We're going to continue to honor and respect that and let him speak into that.
You kind of answered that. I just want to put a point on it, though. If he was interested in extending beyond this year, are the Lakers interested in having LeBron James as part of the team?
Yeah, I think I've said before in a previous question, we would love if LeBron's story would be to retire as a Laker. That'd be a positive story.
Have there been any conversations between you guys and LeBron about the transition that we are seeing taking place from this kind of going from LeBron's team?
Yeah, I mean, I can handle that. I mean, I talked to LeBron fairly frequently and had two great in-person meetings with him. One, he finally made it out to the Hamptons. So he and I had dinner in Sag Harbor right around free agency, and then was able to spend some time with him here in LA a couple weeks ago. And I came away from that thinking that he's in a great. Know he's going to give us his absolute best.
JJ Redick dropping a Hamptons like anybody cares. This is Hollywood we're in, okay? Nobody cares about the Hamptons out here.
Well, he's got the extension, so they kind of feel like he's the guy to lead this team. Said they won 50 games last year. Do you think that they can improve on that?
I think so. I love had eight in Phoenix. I mean, he's a first pick, and he's going to just really get an opportunity to shine. I think the mentality of LeBron, the game preparation of LeBron, and the activity and the passing of Luka is just going to really put Ayton in a different epsilon. I know he was a top 5 center at one point in his career with Phoenix, but I think this is going to be a great job for him in a great role, and I think that's what's going to take him over. But the West is tough. This is not the Eastern Conference where everybody's, getting 20, 30 wins and making the playoffs. This is going to be a tough environment to try to play, even though they changed the schedule where some teams only meet twice or 3 times, but it's a tough division that they're in. I think it's going to be a tough conference to try to get 50 wins, but I think they're capable of doing it, maybe 55.
Said, I know the East is not that good, but you can't win. You can't make the playoffs in the East with 30 wins. Come on.
Hey, man, it's awful. You could be a 500 team. Below 500 team making the playoffs, I was like, come on, you got to kid.
You're getting Ced's getting a lot of love on the Twitch chat for the chubby little body comment.
Hey, look, I wanted to ask you about that too. Okay, so you two guys making headlines for just being in shape. Luka Doncic and Zion Williamson, you're getting paid $40-50 million a year. Said what? How do you explain that a guy not showing up with his body ready to go?
Well, it's a little different. My era, we had like, for instance, today I just came from Phoenix Suns training camp. We had 2-a-days for 2 weeks, so the team and the coaching staff really got you in shape too as well. But sometimes it's, you got a lot of yes guys around you that be like, man, you're fine. And then I said, like before, out of shape, Luka got his team to the finals. So it's like, I got my team to the finals out of shape. Why do I have to go through this, eating better, taking care of my body and getting in shape, when I took the team to the finals as a little chubby cat. So that's the hard part about it. And with Zion too, I mean, he jumps out the building. Obviously, he doesn't wish injuries on himself, but he's super athletic, and people constantly tell him, you need to get in shape. You get in shape. And he's like, well, I went out and got 25 and 12 as a fat boy. So, it's hard to convince somebody who has 60, 70 million in their pocket already that they need to go get in better shape to take their team over to the next level.
All right, if you could have OKC's roster or the Lakers roster, which one are you taking?
For ticket sales, I want the Lakers rosters, obviously, but the unity and the youth of OKC is just phenomenal. There's no way in the world that you have a tough time beating this team because of their chemistry. They grew up together. They're just babies, and I love you just even their post game interviews. All of them standing out there. Yep. With each other, it just shows a lot of unity. I said before, I was at training camp for the last 2 days with the Suns, and me and Mark West, Rex Chapman, Steve Nash, we all just start talking about bus rides and on the road and just being together, even more than we were with our current families. And you just see that love and unity with OKC and all around the same age. I just hope, salary caps and free agency just keeps them together for a very long time, because you even saw this back in the day with the Lakers squad with Magic, Kareem, Worthy, James, Michael Cooper, Byron Scott. They were all together. Rambis, AC Green. They were all together for a very long time, and they got 5 championships out of that. So we'll see if that organization can keep that unit together.
The Rockets had a glaring weakness last year, and it was getting things done in the half court. Now they have one of the best half court players in the NBA who can create his own shot at will, and Kevin Durant. How do you think that affects the balance of power in the West?
like I said, this is a tough conference to be in, and to have a guy like Kevin Durant that can get you a bucket at any given time, and I love about the youth that they have over in Houston. They go up and down the floor. They play great defense. I know they don't have Book anymore, but they do play great defense together. And I think what's going to be great about it is Kevin, as I said with LeBron, lay off the minutes a little bit. Just give him the ball late in the fourth quarter, and he can take it over. I don't know how he stays in shape or not in shape. I don't know how he stays alert and not get too tired or too rusty sitting over there for less minutes, but LeBron or Kevin Durant in the fourth quarter, 6 minutes to go. That's a very dangerous a weapon to have if you're a basketball team.
We've talked about the West. We've talked about the Lakers, the Thunder. You mentioned Joker getting in shape, bringing Denver a title. Who is the best team in the East in your estimation? Tatum's out for Boston. Lillard's out, no longer with Milwaukee. Who do you like on the East side of the ledger?
Well, you never can count on Miami and Spoelstra and his whole team putting it together. Bam has got some things up its sleeve, and hopefully Hero can get himself back to help that team out. Orlando Magic, the young fellas are really playing well there. Their coaching staff is really positive, and I love the way they're going. But Tyler's down in Indiana. That's going to put them in a little bit of a pinch. But I think New York City is going to be very happy with the Knicks and the way they play. I don't really understand the quick trigger on the coach. I saw him today. But Brown has an ability to do. He's got some championship assistant pedigree under his belt, and he's been to the finals with Cleveland before. So I think New York Knicks are probably the favorite. And then you got the big guy Giannis, still, very scary. No Damian Lillard, no Holiday, but he's still very dangerous. And then how well is Jason going to come back with the Boston Celtics? So I think it's based on injury, but as far as non-injuries, I want to put the Knicks right up there. And just trailing behind the Bucks in that Eastern Conference system.
Yeah, the most important ability is availability, and the Knicks have all their guys. I heard you talking about the bus rides and everything, and talking with your old teammates. What do you miss most about playing in the NBA?
That's it right there, gentlemen. Just the guys. When I was vice president with the Mavericks, one of the colleagues or employees would come by with a crazy suit on or something, and I would make jokes, like we would make jokes in the locker room, like, what are you wearing? What kind of this, that? What kind of suit is that? Why has it got to be pink, this, that, and the other? And I used to get slips from HR, like, hey, you can't do that. So I think that's a big thing. Being on the same level with guys and really sharing the same experience, finding places to eat on the road, movies, malls to walk around, stuff like that, the camaraderie. Some guy, I wasn't a card player, but some guys played cards, but the jokes and the fun on the planes are just great. The bus rides and knowing that we have a common goal. We're all trying to get focused to win a championship, and everybody's on the same page. I think that's the biggest thing. Obviously, playing in front of thousands of people, millions of people on television is wonderful. But the camaraderie of having, and it's a shocker to your system when you stop playing, of not having 12 to 15 brothers that you just rely on for 7 to 8 months a year.
You look at any specific thing that you did as your crowning achievement as an NBA player, whether it's playing for a title, being an all-star, winning a slam dunk competition, scoring 50 in a game. What tops your NBA resume in your estimation?
Wow, that's a good question. It's funny. I was at dinner with Jermaine Dye. That guy's an unbelievable athlete, but
oh yeah,
I asked him, when was his on fire moment where he just knew nobody could really get a pitch by him, and he started talking about failure. If you're good at failure in major leagues, you're good, because you fail 70% of the time. You're a Hall of Famer at bat. And I think my thing was, being a guy who only played 5 high school basketball games, really quality basketball games, and be able to spend 32 years in the NBA on the court and in the front office. I think that's it right there. Just to, being persistent in my goal, understanding that I wasn't a total overachiever, knowing my position and doing whatever it takes on and off the court to try to help my team win a championship. I didn't get that goal accomplished, but it was a fun ride. I had a blast. Personal accomplishments. Yeah, 50 is unbelievable. There's not a lot of people that's in that category, being an all-star. I got an MVP vote, which, we have 4,000 players come through this league. And for me to be one of the players to get an MVP vote, that's just huge. And so.
Wait, do you know who voted you for MVP?
I do, but I don't think that my mom was allowed to actually vote, but she got that vote in. So that's the most important thing about it.
No, seriously, do you know who it was?
Yeah, I know who it was.
Can you tell us?
Yeah, your former colleague, Mark Stein.
Okay,
Mark Stein,
all right.
Nice.
Yeah,
Love Mark
Stein gave me the vote. He's a Fullerton guy, Fullerton guy. So,
all right.
You got a Kobe Bryant story you can share with us?
Wow, fam. Very obviously a tragedy to not only him and Gigi, but the whole entire situation with everybody that was on that aircraft that went down. But me and Kobe, for some reason, because we're family, we always ended up at Disneyland together. Him and Vanessa always. Every time I brought my kids, my family, he would be there just sneaking around and going to do different rides and checking out Captain EO and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that he was just a kid at heart trying to accomplish something that probably nobody has done before, and in his mind, he was trying to do it to the best of his abilities. That's the biggest story of all. And when he came in, I went to the press conference, and he knew that we shared relatives together, and we talked about that. But being so mature at 17, 18, it's just unbelievable. And then the way he left. I mean, he left the game like everybody pictures herself coming into the game. Like, that's how I want to go out. I mean, I was fortunate to watch the farewell tour of Dr. J, the farewell tour of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They didn't really have one for Magic, but it was nice when the Magic came back to play with us. And then Jordan didn't. He kind of sort of had one, what they did for him in the All-Star game, his last All-Star game. But to go out making 60 points, having a very intense game against Utah. I was there. The place was crazy. That's how you want to end your career. Obviously, it would be great to have this young man and everybody on that helicopter still here with us. But it was picture perfect from day one. Getting the bumps and bruises as a rookie and then finishing it off as a 5-time champion and 60 points. It was just great, man. I miss him so much.
Yeah, I was in the studio that night, and our ESPN studio, was right across the street from the arena. And third quarter, I said, you know what? I need to walk over here, and I need to see this with my own eyes, because this is it, one of the all-time greats. That fourth quarter, I'll never forget it. I mean, you had however many thousands of people were in that arena willing that ball into the basket every time he shot it, and just I've never felt that many people all becoming one energy source. It was like the crowd was channeling their energy into Kobe, and Kobe was channeling it right back to them. And it was like everybody was one in there. And then every time he came down and shot, it was like the energy was guiding the ball into the net. That fourth quarter, I'll never forget it as long as I live. I mean, that was a really special night.
Said Jeff, our producer, said we got to shut it down. But Jeff, we got to see the blindfolded dunk.
We got to see the blindfolded, and we got to hear about it.
Yeah, let's like. And what do you make of All-Star Weekend or the All-Star Game now? Is there anything that can be done to make it it's unwatchable, frankly, at the way it is right now? Do you, as an NBA executive, as a commissioner of the Venice Basketball League, what are some of your thoughts as we're queuing up your blindfolded dunk that won you the slam dunk championship?
Yeah, it was very difficult to watch for a couple of years, but I think that it's enthusiasm is coming back. But it's up to the players. It's really up to the players to bring that excitement back. They have to go out and not only play with some enthusiasm or some kind of panache, as I quote Django, some panache. They have to come out and really play hard. And sometimes obviously they're making a lot of money and they want to try to sell. But if they do, put players that want to play. And that's up to the coaching staff. Whoever makes the All-Star team coaching staff, they got to really be honest with the players. Like, who really wants to play? If you really want to play, then you go out there and compete like Magic and Isaiah and Bird and Jordan. They all used to go at each other. I used to love watching the All-Star. I'm a West Coast kid, so it was during the daytime, and how hard they played against each other. No, they didn't want to hurt each other, but they went hard in the paint, and I love that. So they're going to have to bring that back. And I don't know if it's the players to do that, because now you're going to get Curry, you're going to get LeBron in the All-Star game, and obviously they're up in years, and you don't want them out there playing 20 to 30 minutes. But the young guys that's going to make the All-Star team. They're going to have to come out and get 30 minutes and really, really play hard and have an opportunity to put on a show.
So, Sid, tell us about the blindfold dunk. What was your inspiration for that?
Magic. You guys remember Magic had retired, and they voted him back into the All-Star game to play. So I was working out in the Forum before we played the Lakers, and so was Magic. We started a shooting game, and Magic was like, "Man, what's he gonna do? D Brown came with the blind. You're gonna have to come all the way blind." So that's where I got the idea. Me and the Gorilla started working on it back in Phoenix. It wasn't coming out right. It was ugly. So we tried to turn it into a spoof. This attempt was very, very lucky. We had the mascots waiting on the sideline, ready to pick up the basketball with the stretcher. I was supposed to fall and break my neck, but as you see, it went through with the cleanness. I'm still trying to pull that blindfold away from my mom. She's got it in East Texas. She won't let anybody examine it to try to prove of it, but it was a blast. I love it. The atmosphere of that night, the star-studdedness, it was just a great experience. And it was all because of a great human being like Irvin Magic Johnson to inspire me to do something as crazy as that.
Were you counting the steps? Was that how you did it? You had to count steps?
Yeah. Hey, man, look, everybody always shoots with their eyes closed. That was the easy part. It was just trying not to run into that basket. That was the hard part.
And so what was practice like? What was the worst attempt in practice like?
Oh, just missing and hitting the backboard. I did that a couple of times. We used those cushions that the dunkers use at halftime and during the timeouts to try to, block me from the falls and all that stuff. So I was, It was getting to a point where we were just going to throw this thing away. And then that's when we started doing the spoof thing. But I had already won the dunk contest before I attempted it. I was the first one to contact the NBA to let them know if I do get eliminated, because you had Larry Johnson, you had Sean Kemp, who, Grandmama and the Rain Man was supposed to really win the dunk contest, but Sean Kemp got out early, and then I went head to head with Larry Johnson. And I had called them weeks before and told them I was going to do this. If I get eliminated, let's do this little fun thing. And they were all for it. But I had already won the dunk contest, so I looked over and was like, with NBA Entertainment, it's like, let's do it anyway. Even though I already won before we crowned and I held up the trophy, let's go ahead and do it anyway. But it worked out perfectly for me, and this is 35 plus years, and we're still talking about it.
Absolutely.
Hey, Sid, this has been a great talk, man. We really appreciate you. We're new at this Twitch thing. Stan and I spent a lot of years together in a studio. This is a little different, yeah. And to get somebody of your pedigree to come sit with us for a bit and share old times and chop up old NBA stories is really something special. We're internally grateful to you.
Hey, you guys were fabulous together in the studio. I'm telling you, so funny, so timing. The one-liners and everything is just was a pleasure each and every time. Even watching you guys over, I don't even know why they don't do that anymore. I used to love watching your show over and over and over again, all the way up until the morning. Even though I just watched it 16 times before, it was always fun watching you guys. And congratulations, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, Ed.
Hey, Seth, thanks, man.
Right.
Great having you on. All right, the great Cedric Ceballos joining us here.
How great was that?
Yeah.
That was
dude.
Plus he's got the voice. He could be like a Barry White impersonation, man. He got the deep voice.
Yeah, people in the chat were commenting on his voice. I just saw somebody just said the voice. Yeah. So Beyond Creative says awesome show in the chat. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Fire from Beyond Creative. Thank you for that. Oh, one college game we didn't mention. Alabama and Georgia. Remember all the heat that Kalen DeBoer took early in the season, and people talking about his buyout and everything. Look, you go in there and you beat Georgia. Okay, they'll be sending him money. Forget the buyout. If he can get that done, it could be fantastic for Alabama. It could really, jumpstart their season in a way that that they really need, honestly, if they're going to be in the national title conversation once again.
Yeah, I would think that Georgia's at home. I would like Georgia in this game. It's unfortunate because the two biggest games in terms of rankings are probably Oregon, Penn State, Georgia, Alabama. 3 games: LSU, Mississippi.
Yep.
Oregon, Penn State, Alabama, Georgia. Well, that Alabama, Georgia, and Oregon, Penn State game, they're both being shown at the same time. I hate that when that happens.
Yeah.
But we'll be, that's why you got the remote with the last channel looked at.
Well, no, Neil, you put one on the device and you put one on the TV. You see what I'm saying? And then you can watch them both simultaneously.
You know what? I don't think I can get games on my phone anymore because I cut the cord.
You can get games on your computer, right?
I don't think so. My computer is pretty old. Like I can put CDs into my computer and play them.
No. Okay. So here's what you do. You just go to, let's say the game is on Fox. Okay. Or the game is on ESPN or wherever. You just go and you go to their site, or you go to the App Store, download the app for that, whoever's broadcasting the game, and then you just watch it on their app.
Oh, all right.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm always learning from Stan.
You may have to take the CD out of the computer, though. You can't run the CD player in your computer at the same time you operate the app. Although I'm worried that if your computer does indeed have a CD player still, that you don't have the capability to download apps. So I'm a little worried.
I may not. Speaking of learning, get me up to speed on what's going on with the Ryder Cup. You being the golf nut and all.
Oh, so yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. 5.5 to 2.5. Europe leads right now, so they played alternate shots in the morning. So it's 2-on-2, 2 players against 2 other players, 2 American players against 2 European players, and they alternate shots. And the Europeans jumped out to a big lead. They won 3 of the 4 matches in the morning. And then in the afternoon, they picked up another 2.5 points, and the Americans picked up 1.5 points. So it's 5.5 to 2.5. There was a total of 28 points available. So there's 8 matches. There were 8 matches today. There's 8 matches on Saturday, and then there's 8 matches on Sunday. The Saturday matches, again, it follows the same format. It's alternate shot in the morning, and then best ball 2-on-2 in the afternoon, and then on Sunday it's all 8 singles matches. So there's a total of 28 available points. So as soon as you get to 14.5, then you've won the competition. So the U.S. in a hole right now, they're down 3 points. Scotty Scheffler didn't get going until late in the afternoon matches this afternoon, and the Americans rallied. It could have been 6-2 very easily, but the Americans rallied to get that extra half point. But they still got some work to do. It's obviously a road game for the Europeans at Bethpage State Park in New York, where I don't think the crowd was as rowdy as people thought the crowd might be. It was they got hyped into it at times. Not that the U.S. team gave them a lot to be excited about, especially this morning, losing those 3 matches. But I don't think it was as rowdy as people thought it would be. But I think the European players, their captain Luke Donald said that they're playing for something bigger than money, because the American player, I don't know if they insisted on being paid or if it was a thing where the PGA of America said, okay, we're going to pay them. But the American players are getting $200,000 per man and $300,000 to donate to the charity of their choice. The Europeans get nothing. And Luke Donald made it a point to say, they're not playing for money and yada, 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 yada. I mean, they have a sense of mission, but I think the American players have a sense of mission too. But being on the road, McIlroy said last year or 2 years ago, he said, we're going to go to New York and we're going to win on the road. It's the hardest thing to do, win a Ryder Cup on the road, but we're going to go there and we're going to do it. And so far, they've got the lead. John Rahm played spectacular golf. Tommy Fleetwood was good today as well. So another chance tomorrow, but it's a bad sign because the home team has won the last 5 Ryder Cups. So usually the home field advantage works out, but it hasn't worked out so far.
So is 5.5 to 2.5? Is that dire, manageable, surprising? Like as a golf guy, how would you describe it?
It's surprising. On the last show, I said that the Europeans were favored. Actually, the Americans are the favorite. The home field advantage matters a lot. Again, the home team has won the last 5 Ryder Cups. And then foursomes, the alternate shot matches, also have been a harbinger of who's going to win, because the team that's done best, they call it foursomes, alternate shot. The team that's done better in foursomes the last 5 Ryder Cups has also won. And so both those trends now are not working in favor of Team USA. But there's a lot of talented players on the team. They've come back before, and so they got their work cut out for them on Saturday to get off to a good start in the morning and then back it up in the afternoon to at least go into Sunday tied up. When they go to singles matches, I think they should want at least a tie or to take the lead. But it's going to be tough.
How much television time will you devote to watching this?
I woke up at 4:00 this morning Pacific time to watch it, and I watched for about an hour. I wanted to see how it started, because the first hole there at Bethpage on the black course, you can drive. If you hit a great drive, you can drive the green. Okay,
I heard DeChambeau almost drove it.
Exactly. So the American captain, Keegan Bradley, he sent DeChambeau out first to get DeChambeau to drive the green and get the crowd going crazy right from the bat. But it didn't work out that way. And DeChambeau, they lost that match. But I wanted to see that. You know what I mean? I wanted to see it live. And so I woke up, watched for about an hour. I went back to sleep and then woke up at 8 and started watching again. And it was pretty much on the whole time, while I was getting ready for the show and, doing other stuff. It was always on in the background.
All right. Hey, before we say goodbye for this show, gotta give a shout out, because I had to say goodbye to a buddy this week. He was a friend to many, especially those who dabble in the gambling component of sports. Dave Sharapan, the man with the hat there, and that's his wife Jess next to him. He was co-host of the podcast The Bostonian versus the Book. They called him the sports book consigliere. He worked with books and bettors. He was a top odds maker and a top shelf friend. I met him over 12 years ago at a friend's wedding. We've been friends ever since. I saw him not that long ago in Venice. He had some tough health issues to deal, but dying was never part of the plan, man. And I've been in tears since I heard this a couple days ago. And just in case you hear a show like this in a place where spirits gather, I wanted to give a shout out to my love for Dave, his wife, and his 3 daughters. Always forward, never straight, my friend.
All right. My condolences to you, Neil, and to Dave and his family.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Let's do it again on Tuesday, brother.
Absolutely. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the Ryder Cup. And we'll be back to wrap it all up with another edition of the Stan and Neil Show on Tuesday. And we'll see you then.
Let's go. How's it? Do you know what time it is? Let's go! The Stan and Neil Show. 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 With Stan, Stan, he's the man. And who's Stan's biggest fan? Well, it's Neil. And Neil, he keeps it real. And that's why Neil's the deal. Stan and Neil back together again, spreading the love with all their old friends. Let's go! Stan and Neil back together for you, keeping it cool, 'cause cool's our rule. The Stan and Neil Show, 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 the Stan and Neil show.
Yeah. All right, let me hear it all back. See what we got so far.
So, shout out to Coach D for the jingle, the Stan and Neil jingle.